Hello, Sioux Falls, and thank you for joining us for this month's planning preview. The items we're talking today are for the month of March. My name is Kurt Johnson. I'm chairman of the City of Sioux Falls Planning Commission. Joining me today is Jason of planning staff. How you doing, Jason?
I'm doing great. It's nice out there, so yeah, it's great.
Yeah, you're not your typical February going on right now.
We've been pretty blessed. So,
well, hey, let's jump right in.
Yeah.
We got quite an agenda of items here that we want to talk about coming into the planning meetings for this month. Looks like we're going to start out with one on the east side, a twin home project.
Yeah, so this is kind of up in the Norton area. This is Affordable Housing Solutions. You know, they kind of look for some of these maybe lots that have some rundown houses on them, or maybe some parcels that people are ready to sell because they're moving out or whatever the case is. And so they're looking to take this lot. There's a small house on it, and really actually do a duplex on this lot. So get us some more units on some of these larger lots up in these existing core neighborhoods. So.
Oh, very good.
Mm-hmm.
In addition to that, it looks like on the north side of town, there's another twin home project as well. Why don't you tell us something about that one?
Yeah, this is same affordable housing solution. So this is actually just northwest of the one we just talked about. And another perfect example, there's, I believe, one rundown house that they purchased, and they're going to construct a twin home on the north side of this lot, and then a single family house on the south side. So really getting 3 units for the price of 1, essentially. So, you know, starting to make hopefully a dent in our housing crisis that we have here in Sioux Falls. You know, it doesn't sound like a lot, but every little bit helps. So.
Well, absolutely. The residential housing, you just cannot seem to make enough of that right now, and this is a good way to get that going.
Yeah, when we talked about that last month, we did more units last year than we've ever done by about 600 or 700, and we're still way behind. So.
Oh, very good. Change gears here a little bit. Looks like there's some commercial updates going on the southeast side of town here.
Yep, exactly right. This is kind of an area that's going to kind of back up to Veterans Parkway, south of 57th Street. If you haven't been out there, they're constructing a lot of residential. As we know, once you get a lot of rooftops, that's when you're going to start getting the commercial. We did have one in the same area last month. They're just kind of coming back, same development plan. There was just a little sliver that they needed to make a minor boundary adjustment, and then they're going to be moving full steam ahead to get some more retail and service type uses out there in the southeast part of town for those property owners. So.
No, very, very nice. Yep. It looks like when you talk about density of residential, it looks like we have an apartment complex here on the west side now.
Yep, so this is kind of up there by 12th and Interstate 29, kind of back down in there by Ebenezer. And really just the ability to do a twin home on another large lot up in that area. This area is kind of a little bit of mix. It's a little cul-de-sac type area with a mix of twin homes and single family. So just get another twin home up there, get some more units. So.
Oh, very good. Commercial development looks like in the East Rice Street area.
Yep.
What do you think there?
So it's existing commercial, and really it's been used as more of an industrial property. So This is right at the northeast corner of 229 and Rice Street. A new owner's coming in there and is going to purchase the property and do kind of semi-truck sales on that. And so that's an industrial use. If you've been up east of 229 on Rice Street, pretty much everything that fronts is industrial. So kind of fits in with what's all existing out in that area. So.
Yeah, nice complement to the area already, and good access to 229 for that purpose. That's excellent. Additional commercial, it looks like 6 Mile Road area.
Yep, so this is the large Willow's Edge development. If you haven't been out there on Arrowhead Parkway and 6 Mile to see all that dirt and houses that they're constructing out there, it's amazing. So it's just some additional kind of boundary line adjustments, you know, as developments start to evolve over the years. Maybe the places where you thought there'd be commercial, maybe those are changing to apartments, or maybe you need a little bit more apartment land or more twin home land or more single family. So they're just looking to come in and do some little minor adjustments out there, but the development as a whole will kind of stay the same as it is. So.
Oh, very good. This next one looks really exciting. This is a southeast, pretty major development we're looking at here.
Yeah,
Tell us about this next one also.
Yep, and this will actually, so this would be kind of south and southeast of the new Brandon Sparta Elementary School out there in our fire station. And really that'll fill in almost half of that land between 6 Mile on the east, 57th on the south, and then Veterans Parkway on the west. So that'll fill in that almost whole section. And we did a lot of utility work on 57th Street last year from Veterans Parkway to 6 Mile. And this year now we're coming back and paving that. And that's really where it's kind of funny because we talk about having to try and keep up with growth, but we've got a gravel road. This year we're going to pave it, and probably a year there'll be houses all the way down to it. So to try and stay ahead of it is just one of the hardest things that we deal with here at the city.
Well, absolutely. I mean, there's always a little bit of a lag time, if you will, but I think doing a great job really trying to keep these projects with good momentum going forward.
Yeah, we're trying to, and it's just good that we're getting kind of these locations are going in all parts of the city, and some of the things that you guys will be talking about after the break with Jeff. We'll talk about some of our rezonings and different things we did in 2021 and in part of the northwest part of town too. So it's just been a great year, 2021, and it continues to be that in 2022 to get development in not just one section of the city, but all of them. So.
Absolutely. Thank you. Switching gears here a little bit for our next item, conditional use.
Yeah, so this is kind of just a little existing building on Minnesota, and like First Street, they're looking at taking one of the existing tenant spaces and doing kind of a tasting room in there. So just kind of a small little use there.
Oh, very good. Yeah, nothing too controversial. We'll look forward to hearing more about that one. Well, it looks like our last one, Jason, we have one pretty good-sized sports development going on in the Sanford Sports Complex area.
Yeah, it's been great up there. If you haven't been up there, we talk about the other areas, but those the junior baseball field, softball fields, and soccer fields are coming along. And this is one of a really exciting project that was announced probably 2 weeks ago or so from now. It was that partnership with Sanford and DSU to get that cyber security office up there and really bring some of those really high-paying jobs. So as part of that, they need to include some additional land in their preliminary subdivision plan. But those are exciting businesses and offices to get up there in the sports complex, so, because we know as we get more people working up there, it starts getting those hotels, it starts getting those restaurants up there to start being used a little bit more. So.
Well, thank you, Jason, for all these updates. We're going to take a short break at this time, and when we come back, we're going to be talking about some planning statistics for all of 2021.
Hello and welcome to today's Maintenance Minute. My name is Seth and I'm here with Bruce. We're housing specialists with the City of Sioux Falls. And we're here to talk to you about water heaters and the different kinds of water heaters and how they run. So Bruce, what kind of water heater are we looking at here?
Well, this is your typical gas water heater. They come in 30, 40, 50 gallon capacities depending upon how big a household you've got. The important thing with this is that it runs on gas. This particular one has a standing pilot. It's an older one that the pilot runs all the time, so it's constantly using gas. The new ones have an electronic ignition. They only turn on the gas to the burner when it calls for it, so when there's a need. The other thing to be critical or important is the venting on this. You have to have the correct venting on this. We see a lot of times when we come into homes that the venting is sloped the wrong way, so carbon monoxide can back up into the house. And especially in the wintertime, when the house is tightened up a lot more, you're going to see more chances of people getting exposed to carbon monoxide.
Okay. One way I've seen someone test to see if they're getting the right flow out of this pipe is as the water heater is running, if you light a match and hold it up next to this vent, it should slightly pull the flame into the pipe, showing that the direction is going out.
Right.
If that flame is coming back at you, you may have bigger problems, and I highly suggest that you call a professional.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Bruce.
Yep.
Hello Hello, everyone, and welcome back from the break. I'm here now with Jeffrey Schmidt of the City of Sioux Falls Planning Department, and he's going to share with us some exciting statistics from 2021.
Thanks, Kurt. Glad to be here. You know, it's always nice to kind of finish out the year and bring in some new numbers to kind of give you some feedback, especially all the planning commissioners and the citizens out there on, you know, how did last year compare to previous years?
Exactly.
Yeah. So the first one that we'll kind of get you started with is you do a lot of rezonings at Planning Commission. That's kind of the main primary thing that Planning Commission does. And last year in 2021, we had about 93 changings of zonings with Planning Commission, which was significantly up from previous years. Over the last 15 years, we've been averaging 60 of them. So last year was a big number for us, but that's been a trend that we've been seeing over time, that those numbers have really been coming up. The trend there for the citizens at home, and as well as what the planning commissioners are seeing, is because our conditional uses have significantly decreased.
Sure, sure. And that was just a lot of function with the comprehensive plan, took care of a lot of those.
Absolutely. You know, and that's what you want to see and you expect. So it's nice that when we have the numbers to see that correlate to it. You know, when we look at the conditional uses, in 2021 we only had 23 conditional uses this year. Previous year we had 25, and our average has been 44. So you can see it's really going down. With the conditional uses, with those 23, we only had about 10 that were typical, you know.
Sure.
Aspects where they're on sale are the ones that you see all the time. Then you had a lot of one-offs. When we look at those change of zones, those rezonings, those 90 of them, there were residential zones. I was actually really surprised this year with how many residential rezonings that you guys had.
Well, it's just a function of there's a lot of demand and a lot of interest in folks moving to town, and we have to be able to attempt to accommodate that. Hopefully we're doing a good job.
Yeah. So you had 15 of them were for RT and RT2. You had quite a few for 12 of them for RAs, and then the remaining of them, there were some single family, but a lot of them come in your RS, your RD. You have a lot of them that are, you know, you'll have a whole subdivision. So it will be that whole mix of residential. But overall, 47 of the 90 of them were straight residential zonings.
Very impressive.
So significant. The other thing that you really saw this year was in your preliminary plan. And traditionally what you see at Planning Commission is you see the rezonings, at the same time you'll see a preliminary plan. You won't see as many of them because the rezonings, some of them will have already a preliminary plan in place, but then you'll see a rezoning, a preliminary plan, a conditional use down the road, and then we'll have a building permit. And last year we had 17 preliminary plans that came through Planning Commission that went on to City Council.
And that compared to a typical prior year perhaps is about, what do you think?
The traditional average that we've had is 11, so it was up. And again, when you probably look at percentage-wise, you know, going from 11 on average up to 17, it was a big jump. But with those 17, the most we saw was 4 during 1 month, but it's over 12 months, it's like you see 1 a month kind of coming, and maybe 2, and then in March you had 4 that came in, but 17 that came in last year, and the majority of them were in the northwest part of Sioux Falls, where we can also break them down by the number of acres that we saw, and we saw over 900 acres that were being planned up in that northwest part of Sioux Falls.
That's a very, you know, booming part of town, so it's not surprising at all.
And that really started to see itself take place over this last year with the the new increase with the schools up in the northwest part of Sioux Falls. Even though we're in 7 different school districts and we see schools on the east side and the south side, we really saw a big increase last year at Planning Commission and the number of items up in that northwest part of town.
Excellent. Very good. So I was also given a kind of a preview. You may have some statistics from the joint jurisdictions that the city also is involved with.
Yes, because again, you get tasked with, or you get the opportunity. What verb do we want to use? You get
The true pleasure.
You get the true pleasure of going to both counties.
Exactly.
Because the city of Sioux Falls, you get Minnehaha County and Lincoln County. So the numbers that we had with both of those counties were up this year. They really stayed pretty consistent over time. And again, we do this every January, February, March. We kind of put this together so that we can see how it's changed. And what we saw in 2021 is, starting with Lincoln County, last year you had 5 items over 12 months in Lincoln County. In 2021 you had 10 items in Lincoln County. So you doubled the number, and of those, the majority of them are always conditional uses. You do a lot of conditional uses in the counties outside the city limits, but not so far out that it doesn't impact the city limits, so it's this joint jurisdictional area.
Correct.
So you did 10, and with Minnehaha County, the previous year, back in 2020, you had 6 items in 2020, and in 2021 you did 15. So significant increase in Minnehaha County, especially over 12 months. Some years you won't even have a meeting during that month because there won't be an agenda item. But with those 15, you had 12 of them being conditional uses. So quite a few coming in Minnehaha County. But with both counties also being increased, I thought that kind of really indicated the type of activity that the Planning Commission's been seeing.
Yeah, just a lot of activity, a lot of growth, a lot of change in all those districts. It's something else.
Yeah, and I don't know if necessarily, I'm kind of putting you on the spot, if that indicates the type of development that they're seeing in that joint area or what you've been seeing at Planning Commission, but that's one of the things that we'll kind of go back and look at with Planning Commission and these types of reviews. But you know, we kind of put this report out, give it to the Planning Commissioner so they can dive back in, because you're like, yeah, I kind of remembered that one from January, but now in hindsight, let's go back and look. Were there a lot of, like we mentioned with rezonings? Oh yeah, we did expect a lot of residential, but in the joint area, what types of things did we see over and over again? And then staff can kind of respond to the inquiries of the planning commissioners.
Exactly. Yeah, I think we had kind of a diverse lineup of different items. I won't go into, embarrass myself trying to recall all those off the top of my head, but that does strike me as accurate because it was a busy year.
Yeah,
it really was.
Yep. And with those conditional uses, what we traditionally see out in the joint jurisdiction area is the large accessory buildings. And for the people at home, is we have a standard size that we like to see. It's bigger than the garages in city limits, but out in the joint area, they'll be able to come in and build a larger accessory building on their parcel, on their property, but we don't let them get so big that it overruns their property, because then it could become a commercial property and it still should be residential. So that's one of the things that you see frequently. And then again, just back in hindsight, as you alluded to right at the very beginning, when we updated the zoning ordinance back in 2014, we really said it should be about the zoning. We Planning Commission, planning staff said this should always be about the zoning, and if we let all of our stakeholders, all the citizens know that the zoning is really what's important, then things would kind of play out that way. And here we are 8 years later, you're seeing a lot of zoning items come through, very few conditional uses, because not only then for the property owners, once they get their land zoned, that means something, and it has a real property right to it, but then there's an expectation down the road that, well, it's already zoned, there shouldn't be money changes in the future.
Exactly, and the comprehensive plan did an excellent job of just kind of forming up.
Yeah.
There was a lot of formality with the different rules, and so in RS single family zoning, is very predictable and not as much variation with those conditional use potential add-ons and such.
Correct.
Like that. So
Because before that, I mean, it was every month you were having all these changes, all these little conditions that came in, and the stakeholders didn't know, well, what were my conditions this time? The neighbors didn't know. Now we're like, it's zoned this way. This is the rights that you have, and even adjacent properties owners will know. Well, then this is what they can build there, and this is what they can't build there, and there should be some expectation, and that goes back to the original comprehensive plan we did and the zoning ordinance that was adopted by Planning Commission. So, yeah.
Excellent, very nice.
Yep.
Thank you, Jeff, for joining me today to talk about these special items. And thank you, everyone at home, for joining us for this month's planning preview. The items we talked about today will be part of the agenda on Wednesday, March 2nd at 6 o'clock at Carnegie Town Hall. And in addition to these items is also an opportunity to provide input on non-agenda items. And we will look forward to seeing you all there. Thank you.